We're Hardcore Wrestling Radio. In HWR, we may not drop a lot of pipe bombs, but we sure as hell drop a lot of F-bombs. So don't say you weren't warned. Hey everybody, I'm the Shining Star Rick Star, and welcome to another episode of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And of course, I got a whole bunch of guys with me. First, he's my sidekick. He's Andy. He's over from Stowe Content. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome everybody for listening. And those that aren't listening, why aren't you listening? But you wouldn't really believe me say that anyway, so.
And of course, over from WGS TV, he's a YouTuber, Billy. Welcome to the show.
Cotton balls.
And that'll be the word of the night, cotton balls. And then we have the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, last but not least, we have
Let me do it.
Absolutely.
Bay Area MVP.
Known as Will. Will, welcome to Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, I fully recovered from the nightmare that is Vicky and that monstrosity of a cheeseburger she ate on Raw.
Last time I checked, that cheeseburger's pressing sexual harassment charges against Vicky Guerrero.
And also has now filed a restraining order.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we got a whole bunch of topics to talk about. And, the first thing I wanted to talk about, let's talk about like 5 to 10 wrestlers we would like to jump ship. If we could have wrestlers would want to jump ship to either TNA or to WWE, who would you guys want to pick? You know what? Billy, I'm going to start with you since, if you could take any guys from WWE or TNA, who would you like to see make a jump?
From WWE to TNA, I would like to see Zack Ryder, Damian Sandow, Tyson Kidd, Justin Gabriel for sure, because I think he would be a perfect fit in the X division. And I would take probably the one diva that's actually really good in the ring, and that's AJ Lee, and put her with the Knockouts, since the Knockouts in TNA seem to know a lot more about what the fuck they're doing in there than the WWE divas do. Now, from TNA to WWE, I'll tell you this right now, my first pick would be AJ Styles, and if that ever did happen, that would kill TNA. I would like to see how Christopher Daniels would handle himself in the WWE for sure. Chris Sabin, just to throw that out there. Then again, with his size, WWE would probably make him a jobber at best. They probably wouldn't put too much focus on him. Samoa Joe, because I think he's got the size and the attitude for it. And the last person I would pick would probably have to be. I'm staying away from the guys who already been in the WWE, as you probably noticed with my picks, Rick. And if I had to pick a fifth guy, I would say Hernandez, strictly based on the fact that, or either Hernandez or Rob Terry, because they both have the look, that Vince McMahon loves with his wrestlers, and that's the big beefy steroid looking monkeys. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother discussion, Andy.
I'd go with AJ Styles. I really don't know. I'd be really struggling to pick 10 people to switch brands. I really would, because.
Well, it wasn't 5 out of 10. It wasn't 10. It was like 5 to 10. I was just kind of picking guys, and I just, I
would really like to see all the divas from the WWE go over to the TNA and make a proper women's division, but only the ones that could actually wrestle.
Well, if you look at the Funkadactyls were impressing me for a while, and then they just kind of dropped off. I don't know why they did that. But, let's face it, that's the diva division. Will, would you have to agree with me? Would you think that the Funkadactyls they were doing great with something, and then all of a sudden they just kind of nodded off?
Oh, well, of course. We had one that was in NXT, which is Naomi, and she was very good, singles-wise. But now she goes from being would have been a potential Divas champion to a cheerleader. Hate to say it that way, but it's going to be as blunt as it's going to be. And nodding off, Rick, oh yeah, I agree with you also on that, because now they're just,
Jobbers.
Prattling to the crowd, or that too for that matter. And I mean, as far as Cameron goes, I don't really like her ring ability. I still think Naomi is the best Funkadactyl than Cameron, and the crowd is really not into it as much. Maybe for the dancing and entertainment, but all for not ring ability or skills. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree with you there, and it's I don't know what like the WWE's doing with the Diva division. Lance, do you have any more thoughts as to who you would like to see maybe switch that maybe we haven't mentioned?
Well, possibly the Shield, and I'm kind of going to go a little bit of a stretch because technically he's in the WWE, but I feel he's more suited to TNA. El Generico, I think, belongs more in TNA than he does WWE. That's just a personal opinion.
Ole, ole, ole.
Very interesting, and that's you know what, that's somebody who hasn't even been on television yet, and that's that would be another interesting conversation. Maybe we could even talk about maybe we could see some indies that we haven't even that's who would you like to see come to the WWE? Somebody that's in NXT, OVW, or even ROH. Is there any names that spring to mind?
Mike Elgin from Ring of Honor for me. He's definitely really good. Jimmy Jacobs is also a very good talent over there. I tell you this one, the Briscoe brothers. I'm trying to remember their first names. Jay Briscoe, and I'm trying to remember his Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, you got that correct.
Yeah, they are incredible. And another guy who I think has the talent, but I think he might get stiffed just because he doesn't have the right body type that Vince McMahon likes, Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is just unbelievable at what he does. And, just because he doesn't have the body type that Vince McMahon loves, that big, beefy, steroid-looking guy, that he might not even get a chance just because he's a little chubby like me.
Oh, another person that I think could do well in TNA, better than he's ever done in WWE, would be Ted DiBiase Jr. I think he'd fit in with the likes of AJ Styles, his wrestling style. I just don't know why they've never picked him up.
TNA never signed John Morrison either.
I think he has like a loyalty to the WWE, I think, because they ended on good terms.
Oh.
This is what I've heard.
Yeah, well, he did leave in a good term, and it just... I think he's waiting to get back in the front door, and I don't. Let's face it, he's not getting any younger, and I think that TNA would give him some opportunities. Let's look at some guys who has gone to the WWE that did give them some. You can look at Mr. Anderson. He's now a two-time world champion, something that Morrison never has been. Do you think that if he came back to the WWE, that they're going to give him a world title or even a WWE title? Honestly. Don't think so.
Dean Ambrose? Nope.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think if Mr. Anderson came back now to the WWE, they'd bury him.
I mean, that what they did to Christian?
Yeah, that's Vince's goal, to bury them. So if and when they do go back to TNA, if they ever had them back, they wouldn't be the same person. I mean, they tried to do it with Christian. And to be perfectly honest, Christian was far better in TNA than he was in WWE. Mm-hmm. He was worked a lot better.
I happen to agree with you.
And it just goes to prove he could do it in TNA, but he couldn't do it in WWE, so they were holding him back because he's got the potential. I don't know whether he rubbed somebody up the wrong way at the WWE, but they just never gave the guy a push.
As we move on, Lance actually had an interesting topic that he would like to bring up. Lance, I'm going to kick it over to you and let you bring up this next topic.
Okay. Something just popped into my head this morning. Who would each of y'all's Mount Rushmore of wrestling from all time, who would y'all be on y'all's all time Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling?
Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Vince McMahon.
Andy, over to you.
I'm going to go to a controversial one here, and probably a lot of people will say, "Oh no, why?" I don't know why. I've got a soft spot for Jesse Ventura. I really don't know why, because I think he was a far better commentator than wrestler, but there's just something about the guy's charisma. Even these Jesse Ventura TV shows that he does, I'm just drawn to watching his TV shows. There's just something about it's not a sexual thing. I just think he's very good at what he does.
Well,
There's a conspiracy about tacos.
Yeah.
well, you have 5 people. We each have 5 people that
Four.
can pick. Oh, 4. I'm sorry, 4 people. So you got Jesse Ventura. You got 3 more people you could pick on your Mount Rushmore.
I would definitely have. I'm going to pick all controversial people here just to be awkward. I would definitely
No,
have.
really?
I would definitely pick people like Axel Rotten, definitely, for what he's bought. Mick Foley would be in there. William Regal, and they all seem to be like underdog people that have not really been pushed much. And probably Balls Mahoney or Bam Bam Bigelow. That's controversial.
I would like to change my Mount Rushmore because I just now thought about it a little bit more, and
All right.
I got better picks. Take off the first 3 that I said. It was Hogan, Giant, and Macho Man. And from my standpoint, I would have Jim Ross, Gordon Solie, and Joey Styles. Now think about what do those 4 people, that's Jim Ross, Gordon Solie, Joey Styles, and Vince McMahon all have in common?
Commentary.
Yes.
Okay.
Will, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Oh man, you really put me in the spot here. All right, my Mount Rushmore would have to be Hogan. I'm gonna go Ric Flair.
Woo!
I'm gonna go with Terry Funk.
My eye.
And this is gonna be my last one. It will probably be a little bit too much
Honky
outside
Tonk
the
Man.
box. No. I would probably have to say
Ashton Spears.
I thought that would have been your pick, Billy.
Savio Vega.
Oh God, no.
Quang.
I would have to say Roddy Piper because he has pretty much done everything he had to except actually get a legit chance at a world championship. But he's always told the truth as is. And I'm surprised nobody gives Piper any credit for what he's done. He's beat Hogan 3 times.
Oh, I'll take away Bam Bam Bigelow from my choice, and it's got to be Jake the Snake Roberts. He's got to be in there.
Trust me.
Got to be.
So there you go, Rick.
Okay.
Hogan, Flair, Funk, and Piper.
Okay, I'm going to kick it over to Lance. Lance, of course, you know, what would be your 4?
Shawn Michaels,
Yep.
Hayabusa from Japan, New Jack, and Kurt Angle.
Wow. Okay, for my pick, I'm still trying to work on my pick, so I'm gonna kill him right out. First, you're gonna have Stone Cold Steve Austin up there because he was pretty much the icon of the Attitude Era. You got to put Vince McMahon up. I mean, Vince McMahon has to be up there, and then Hulk Hogan. For the last one, fuck it.
Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart. Sounds like a good one. I think they've all said. I was even going to say Sting, but Bret Hart. Moving on now to the name some failed gimmicks, not careers, but gimmicks in either WWE, WWF, or TNA. Let's just talk about this for a while. How about this, guys?
Gobbledygooker.
Gobbledygooker. That was a good one.
Kizarny.
Sparky Plug.
Yeah, Sparkplug Holly. That was, let's face it. He didn't go anywhere until he became Hardcore Holly. He really had to change his gimmick over, didn't he?
Yeah.
The original name they had him with when he debuted was Thurman Sparky Plug.
Mm-hmm. I think another failed gimmick was Rocky Maivia. Go ahead.
Who was that guy that came out way before Power Rangers? He came out with like a Power Ranger suit and used to fire flames out of his wrists.
That was Max Moon.
Is that who it was? That was a shitty gimmick if ever there was one. He looked like a Power Ranger 20 years in the future.
What about Repo Man?
I like that gimmick when he used to come running in with his chain and.
I liked. The sad thing was he was with Demolition because he was Axe or Smash. He was one of the two.
He was Smash.
Smash. Thank you. And he was with Demolition, and Demolition was a great tag team until they split up, and they had nothing to do with them. So they're like, okay, we'll make you the Repo Man, and I'm like, it didn't work. It kind of
one
flopped.
of the main reasons they did that is because at that same time they had the Legion of Doom in the WWE or WWF at that time, and a lot of people looked at the Demolition tag team as basically a ripoff of LOD. You know, a lot of people saying that Demolition ripped off their gimmick. You know, they were wearing the spikes. They had the face paint on. You know, they were big guys, and they were just big brawlers like Hawk and Animal were.
Well,
So
let's face it, that's what they were. But then when WWE signed them, like, oh, wait, we can't have that. So they got rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, Vince had no problem ripping people off, and he had no problem ripping off gimmicks. But the second he actually had the real people, oh, sorry, you're out of a business. And that's Vince for you.
Anybody remember Fake Razor and Fake Diesel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, one of the many gimmicks Glenn Jacobs had before he became Kane.
Yeah.
Do we remember DDS?
Isaac Yankem.
DDS, the
Lord.
demon dentist.
Had a few of those.
What about another gimmick that used to make my skin crawl was the Mounties were the Mounties. The Rougeau brothers.
Yeah, that was.
It wasn't the Rougeau brothers. It was Jacques Rougeau in there, but his tag team partner wasn't his brother.
Oh, right.
It wasn't Raymond. Raymond Rougeau had clearly retired way before that. I think due to a neck injury, if I'm not mistaken. But I know he did retire.
Although we might not have liked it, I hate to say that gimmick did do him well. I think even after he left the WWE, he kept that gimmick, if I'm not mistaken, Billy.
I think so, but officially the tag team name that thinking about is the Quebecers.
That's it. Yeah, the Quebecers.
And then they went on to WCW as a tag team. I'm trying to remember what their name was, but they were still kind of running with a French-Canadian gimmick over in WCW. But they weren't Mounties.
The Executioner.
Oh, yeah.
Both times they tried it.
Oh, man.
Mr. America.
Just waiting for my turn.
Oh, what was that?
Go ahead, Will.
What was that Hulk Hogan thing when he was like the Patriot, but it wasn't the Patriot?
Mr. America. Yeah. Will, over to you.
All right. Now that's probably my chance. Anybody remember from the WWF the Skinner from the Everglades?
Him that used to have all the black shit hanging out of his mouth.
The Skinner.
Yeah.
That
Duke,
was terrible. Duke the Dumpster
Drosy.
Yep.
Used to get in the ring and go, ding. Gross.
Dustin Rhodes won in WCW 7 because that's when he did his shoot. He looked like Uncle Fester with a trench coat on. Oh.
Yeah, they hadn't come out with they're trying an eerie type of gimmick. His face and entire body was covered in silver paint. They had him wearing red contact lenses to kind of give him demonized look. And when he finally made his appearance, he still had the eerie, creepy music as part of his ring entrance. But when he got into the ring, that's when he started cutting his shit about why he left WWF because of shit like this, and he wasn't going to take it anymore. And that's when he pretty much got rid of the 7 gimmick. I mean, right off the bat, I could tell that gimmick was a fail right at the beginning.
Yep.
Because if anything, it was a rip on the Undertaker, if you think about it.
Oh yeah. Does anybody remember a gimmick by the name of PN News?
Oh God.
He was an imitation of Heavy D and Jazzy Jeff, I believe it was.
And right whenever you would go to the top rope to hit his finishing move, that splash, they would cue up his rap music.
All right, I got a few more. Does anybody remember? And I hope I got this one right. The Maestro from WCW.
The Maestro, yes. The guy that come out pretending to conduct an orchestra that was nowhere to be seen. The dude actually made me want to just take his conductor stick and shove it up his nose.
All right. And if you guys remember this one back in the late 80s, Steve Austin, you guys remember the rip-off version of Spider-Man named Arachnaman back in 91 when he faced Steve Austin?
Yep.
No, I don't remember.
I wish I could forget it. Oh.
I got a couple more. The Kiss Demon from WCW.
Oh,
I actually like that gimmick.
I was kind of getting in behind that gimmick. The problem, but it did fail. It was a failure because the WCW was trying to make a series of them, but the problem was it was a flop. It was a major flop.
Okay, I
Yeah,
got you.
and when they went through with the gimmick, originally they had plans on using Brian Adams, the guy formerly known as Crush,
Yeah.
to be Demon, and that fell through. And I can't remember. I don't know what his name was that took his place, but that dude just seriously just blew smoke worse than Screaming Norman Smiley.
Yeah, it was a terrible letdown, and yeah, so that was an utter failure.
Oh yeah, of course. I got.
What about WCW's counterpart to China at the time, Asia?
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
was the next one I
God.
was about to say. Yeah, that one. Yeah, really nice try, WCW Creative. Just because she held a belt and you guys couldn't do it better. And the last one, I hope you guys remember this one because I really think this was the most shittiest gimmick I ever thought. And no, we're not talking about the Giant Gonzalez because that would have worked. But does anybody remember the Yeti from WCW? They had him all wrapped up like a mummy.
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't say the Shockmaster.
I remember.
Shockmaster's too obvious, dude. Shockmaster's too obvious.
Yeah.
And there you go. I'm done.
One thing I'm going to say is I would put. You remember when WCW started to bash Jim Ross?
Yeah.
They created a character called Oklahoma.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was just a flat out insult.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the idea. They were flat. It was a flat out insult. It wasn't, and I hate to say it, but I thought it was kind of funny because the WWE had no problems, doing their own thing. If you remember when the WWE did the Nacho Man and the Huckster. So yeah, see?
the gimmick. Wasn't it like a gimmick battle royal or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I say is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But Jim Ross got all upset and said, "How could they do something so offensive? And I don't believe they do something like that." And bullshit. You know what, Andy? What were your thoughts about that?
I just thought it was sick, almost as sick as when he was having colon surgery and Vince had that sketch where they were pulling stuff out of his ass.
Yeah.
But so you don't think that it was even the fact that when the WWE was doing the whole Huckster and Nacho Man gimmick?
I didn't mind that. I just think sometimes the WWE have gone a little bit too far with the likes of like JR. They really have gone really far. I don't know whether JR gave them permission to do it, but I just thought that was when he was having his colon surgery. I just thought that was really bad because he'd got cancer, and you shouldn't ridicule cancer. It's not something to laugh about, but he just seemed to think it was something that's funny and hilarious, and I didn't see the funny side. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I didn't see the funny side of it at all.
They weren't ridiculing him. They weren't ridiculing the cancer. They were ridiculing him, and they were just getting on JR. And that's what it was. And everybody was just saying, "Oh my God, they're ridiculing the fact that he had cancer." And that wasn't it. Everybody was picking on the fact that he had cancer. They were just it was the fact that he was it was a guy who was a heavy set fat guy doing commentary, and that's what it was.
Present.
No offense, Billy, but that's what it was. And the fact that they said, "Oh, I have Bell palsy," and how could you? Shame on you, shame on you. And that was the direction they used instead of everything else.
Rick, I got a name that'll give you a headache.
Yeah, go ahead.
Blue Dust.
Blue Dust? Okay. I had a better name that'll give you one. How about Disco Inferno?
You know what? I wouldn't necessarily call it. Because if it would have failed, it wouldn't have lasted. And Glenn Gilberti lasted, I want to say, about a good 2 years, 3 years in WCW.
Yeah, had a couple of cruiserweight title reigns.
And television title reigns.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
But back when the television title actually freaking meant something, TNA.
Fair
How
enough.
about these guys? PG-13. Their jobs are best to get beat up. And they're from around here, too, so.
I think the idea is that we've talked about how all these gimmicks have failed. I mean, and it's just, that we're talking about a few gimmicks in the WWE that's present that's kind of like not exactly doing so well. And, Chris Axel. Sorry.
Sin Cara.
Yeah, exactly. Sin Cara. I think we could also talk about Fandango. They are, right now, they still have their gimmicks, but would you guys say that these gimmicks are working? I mean, even Zack Ryder, he's
I've never bought the Zack Ryder gimmick from day one.
No.
You know my thoughts on that. Never bought the guy from day one.
Yeah. What about
Woo, woo.
Yeah. What about Heath Slater? I
Yep.
mean,
Heath Slater to me shouldn't even have a contract in the WWE. The man's a joke.
well, the sad thing is I almost, for a while, I was actually giving props to Slater because before he did the 3MB, he was taking a lot of bumps from some of the, from the legends, and I'm like, maybe this guy's onto something. And I've saw a few of his matches, and even a few of his matches was getting pretty impressive. And then he joined, and then he did 3MB, and then he just became a total, like you said, a total joke.
We're a 3-man band.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't want to see somebody walking around with a little air guitar. The gimmick's just not working for him. And Drew McIntyre, same thing. What's going on with this guy? Anybody?
Guy started strong. He had a great push. Had a great gimmick as the chosen one. And actually had a great run with the Intercontinental Championship. He was getting a lot of heat, and then ever since Terrence Terrell kicked his ass, his career's just been down the toilet.
Well, let's face it. When you get your ass kicked, literally, outside of kayfabe by a woman, not good for publicity for your career.
Hey! Women have an illegal advantage. They have those boobies as extra weapons.
Yeah,
and distractions.
Rocket launchers.
Kazangas.
Does anybody else have anything to say about actual, gimmicks, in today's, even in TNA that's not working?
The chainmail gimmick on Scott Steiner. What is
Scott
all that
Steiner's
about?
not in TNA. Scott Steiner's not in TNA anymore.
Well, he done pissed Hulk off.
What is all that about? He walks down with that chainmail. Is that like he's is equivalent to a tinfoil hat that Jake used to wear?
Oh God!
I think it's supposed to, be like medieval times, and it's so. And
Now, secretly, the government's sending radio frequencies to Scott Steiner's head, and that thing blocks it.
yeah, exactly.
I think he's frightened of Jesse Ventura homing in on his brain thoughts.
Another one I could say, if you want to talk about, in TNA, I could say Robbie E. not working.
You know it, bro.
Pretty much. The guy has some wrestling skills, but I mean, the problem is I just can't stand the guy. He's just annoying.
Rick, I got to go back to WWF. The Goon.
Oh,
yes.
God. Yep.
Yeah, since you're a hockey guy, you got to give that one a mention.
Absolutely. This is just incredible.
Didn't they try one with Steve Lombardi when they, as a baseball player, and he painted up his face like a giant baseball?
He did for a while, yeah. And
he popped up with, about sometime last year during that whole McMahon reunion with when Triple H pulled all that stuff. I think.
Yeah, well, if you got to say someone who's like the most famous jobber of all time, there are two people that come to mind, in my opinion, and that's Barry Horowitz and the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi.
Yeah. And if you look at, the Brawler, somebody who's been with the company for so long and you would figure they would kind of give him, say, hey, look, we're going to give you a title run just because you've been with the company. Why do you feel that somebody like Steve Lombardi has never gotten a break in the company?
I'm not sure, but I do know at one point in his career, it's like early on in the Brooklyn Brawler gimmick, he was actually in the Bobby Heenan family. He was managed by Bobby Heenan.
Yeah. Andy, your thoughts. You seem to be the, we're going to give it to the heel of the show. Andy, why do you think someone like the Brooklyn Brawler, who has been jobbed pretty much throughout his entire career in the WWF, but Vince kept him, didn't throw him away, and he's still with the company to this day, why do you think they never said, hey, we're going to give you just one title shot, when there's people like Wade Barrett, who you hate, has a title shot? Your thoughts?
I really don't.
Andy will now be played by Iron Mike Sharp.
I really don't think he's got the look of a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can say, because, to be perfectly honest, every match I've seen him in, he's been a pretty good competitor. He's not world class by any standards, but he can hold his own with most of the new guys. But he's always played the part of a jobber. He's never been pushed anymore. He's been used as a fill-in, really. They've always ridiculed the guy. They've given him this Brooklyn Brawler persona that he's such an hard man and he comes from Brooklyn, and even the softest person kicks his arse. And I don't know why he stuck with the company as long as he has done, but I suppose if they paid him a paycheck, and it's a good paycheck, he'll take whatever gimmick they give you. Like, I remember reading an article about Santino, and someone said, aren't you bothered that they giving you such a bad deal, a bad run in the WWE? And he said, I'm still earning at least $250,000 a year. I'm not doing a busy schedule, and I don't get injured. Valid point. The
Yeah.
other guys who were on the same wage are knocking shit out of each other each week.
And that's actually a fair question. Will, I'm going to kick this one over to you. Since the Brooklyn Brawl, do you figure that maybe they might have at one time came to them and said, hey, look, we have a new gimmick for you? Do you think they might have thrown him a possible new gimmick? I mean, they did put him, like Billy said, put him in with the Heenan family. Do you think maybe they tried to give him a new gimmick and he just said no? Or do you think that was a possibility? Or do you think they just never gave him that opportunity?
I just don't think they gave him the opportunity. Now, I don't recall the Heenan family as I was watching wrestling back in those years. I mean, just frankly, I just know Steve Lombardi as the Brooklyn Brawler. Yes, the guy that you'll see off and on throughout the years that we are in this world we live in. And I don't think they really gave him a fair shot, though. He was just known as more of a jobber than an actual wrestler. Now, I'll give him credit. A couple years ago, I remember he came back at like 2011. He just came back out of nowhere and won a match. I forgot who he beat. But yeah, I mean, just basically, in my point of view, I don't think he was really given the vast opportunity to go for any type of title. And I probably need to take notes on who the Heenan family was, but I just think Steve Lombardi could have been a lot more if the creative writers back then would have gave him something more legit. But he'll always be known as the Brooklyn Brawler in my eyes.
I think they could have given him a hardcore title at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't see him holding any other title apart from the hardcore.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to tell you. You said in your eyes. Now, keep in mind, there was rumor, if I'm not mistaken, at one time he even played a role of Doink the Clown.
Yeah.
Now, Lance, why not give him the original role of Doink the Clown, where Doink was actually successful for a while? Why not give him that role?
He might have saw it and turned it down. Because who wants to actually be dressed up as a clown and put on TV?
That's so whoever played that role decided that role, and that person I forget the original name.
Matt Bourne.
Yeah, the Maverick, Matt Bourne.
Yep.
And he had a pretty good career, and for if the Brawler decided not to, I mean, if he had wrestled for that long time, and if they made a gimmick or a storyline where it says, look, you lose, you got to take off your paint and stuff like that, and we find out, oh my God, it's the Brawler. That would have worked out great.
I wonder if Matt Bourne actually copyrighted that gimmick, because he still works in the indies under the name of Doink the Clown. So
I would think so.
It's not like a WWE own name, I don't think.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, that's WWE owns that shit. Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
He was in when Matt Bourne came to TCW. He changed it to like Donk or something.
Yeah, you have
so
to.
It wouldn't be. It should be a little bit off, so Vince couldn't sue.
Yeah, just like Eugene, he has to do like the capital Eugene, or like he has to make some variations.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Well, Rick, now I got something for you. Just because you brought up Disco Inferno.
Okay.
I got a name for you. Red Rooster.
The Rooster, yeah, he
Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor, unfortunately, he did not really do that great. As far as in the ring, I think he wound up going back with management. He spent.
Yeah, he was a little henpecked.
And then I remember for a while he came back and he actually sprayed his hair red for a while, and then he tried doing the little, like the little
cock walk.
The cock walk, and I'm like, oh, dude, no, it's not working, because I don't think anybody's gonna do that little cock walk.
Secretly, Andy and Will have both muted their mics so they can snicker.
I got nothing to say on that one, really.
I've never trained my cock to walk.
Surprisingly, there hasn't been any cock-a-doodle-doo jokes.
No, I just changed my cock to jump.
Oh.
I wring its neck occasionally, but I've never taught it to walk.
As long as you never fry your cock, I think you'll be fine.
Uh,
Why are we talking about cocks?
Fuck! You brought it up, Billy. As we move it on, we're moving on to more intriguing conversations. We're going to talk about some of the hottest females in TNA and WWE.
Dixie Carter.
Dixie
AJ.
Carter. Well, hey, and needless to say, that came right from Andy. Andy, since you wanted to start the conversation, I'll leave it off to you. Name a few others you think are pretty hot.
I mean, lightning strike you where you stand.
I don't want to pick the obvious ones like Mickey James and Trish Stratus, so I'll go off a limb. Roxy.
Mm-hmm.
God, I can't think. WWE or TNA?
Either one.
I'm trying to think of
Past or
controversial
present.
ones. You'll have to come back to me. I can't. I'm trying to think of controversial ones. Yeah, and not
Andy, say Maria Kanellis.
Maria Kanellis.
Thank you.
Will,
Missy
over to you.
Hyatt in a day, but she was ECW. So can we include ECWs?
Yeah.
Missy Hyatt was WCW, then ECW.
Yeah, because everyone's going to say the Velvet Skies and stuff. I mean, without a doubt, Velvet Sky's got to be the top totty in the company, but trying to be controversial and find people that
anything that was like informer, like that WWE under anything that's under WWF's like flag. So yeah, WCW or ECW.
Mae Young.
You're
Again,
sick.
I say it again. May lightning strike you where you sit.
Will, I'm gonna kick it over to you, and if Andy needs if we need to bring it back, we'll bring it back.
Okay.
Somebody pass Andy the tissues.
I repeat the question because I'm over here laughing on the inside.
Okay. I'm laughing on the outside, so don't worry about it.
I'm sorry.
Name some of the top hottest female wrestlers in either TNA or WWE, which is basically WCW, ECW, past or present.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb because I barely watched a little bit of ECW, but if I would have to go with ECW's Francine.
Electra.
I think she was just better than Beulah McGillicuddy. I thought she was just a lot better than her. Who else? From WCW, I would have to say... I can't believe I'm going to say this, but she was more legit in this one. I would have to say... I don't want to cry because we're on the air. I would have to say that one big female that Sonny Ono had. What was her name? That big girl, whatever her name was. I forgot her name.
She had a series of matches with Medusa, and I think at one point even got Medusa to retire. I'm trying to remember her name.
Yeah, but I would say next would have to be Medusa.
Bull Nakano.
Yeah, there you go, Bull Nakano. Then Medusa. Now, TNA, to be very honest with everybody here, I can't really pick anybody from TNA because, like Andy and Lance and everybody here practically mentioned, there has been no real powerhouse knockout in TNA within the years that they've been there, unless I'm missing someone. But
Kong, ODB.
Oh, I got a few.
But see, here's the thing. I'm not going to take it away from Awesome Kong. She is phenomenal. But I'm talking about power as in, like, power. Now, ODB, I'm kind of 50-50 on her, though. I mean, you would consider her maybe the second one, but fuck, I'll give it to Awesome Kong, a.k.a. Karma.
Be 50-50 at 69. Would that be a 36?
I wouldn't like to do either with Awesome Kong.
But if I would have to...
I wouldn't go there.
But if I really would have to pick one that revolutionized it all, I would have to go Medusa because she's basically done it all.
A.K.A. Alundra Blaze.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, pretty much.
And Lance, it's over to you.
Are we talking did more for the business or hotter?
Just hotter. This is hotter.
I was going to say,
Yeah, this is all about looks. It doesn't matter what they've done in the business. This is like, who do you think is, oh my God, they're sexy.
We're officially real naming Will as the Bay Area Freak.
Yeah.
From ECW, Kimona Wanalea.
Hold on, Will, if you did not understand that, I'll let you go back and redo your question. So, did you not know that? Did you not understand that, Will?
Well, he did pick some very influential females in the history of wrestling who actually did make a difference. So I think we ought to give him credit for that.
Oh, absolutely. But it's kind of like, all right.
Molly Holly
okay.
for me in a funny kind of way. It was just something about that.
Now that I know
Granny
about
panties.
that, now Rick, let's go on record here.
Yeah.
Yes, when I did pick those, I did not just mention Power, but Cute 2 Francine was hot. Medusa, for her age, she was hot. Now, for Kong and Bulikano, kind of, for those who like the other side of the lovin', but, you know, we don't discriminate here at HWR Radio, so...
Absolutely not.
We don't condone that at all, fans. We don't do that, so don't get us wrong.
Secretly, Andy's sitting there thinking about Bertha Faye.
So, all right, Lance...
Go ahead, sorry, Lance. Go ahead. My bad, man.
From ECW, Kimona Wanalea. Old school WBF, I'd go Sunny and Miss Liz. Nowadays, AJ and Caitlyn.
Mm-hmm.
TNA, and all the knockouts.
It's like, fuck it, I can't pick anyone. Just throw them all in bed.
Go on now.
Just give us one of them.
How come none of you guys said Lacey Von Erich?
No.
She was just a dumbass with blonde hair.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
but
man.
She should have committed suicide like the rest of her family.
I'm not even going to touch that. I am not even going to say anything about
She
that.
committed suicide every time she got in the ropes.
Career suicide.
I think for Andy, boner suicide.
She is one wrestling chick who lived on her parents' or family's reputation because she hadn't got none of her own. She got no talents at all apart from she was eye candy.
Oh, that was rough.
The only thing she was remembered for, Andy, is when she made that debut and she did the Iron Claw that was established by her grandfather, Fritz Von Erich. Yeah. But other than that, she wasn't really going nowhere. Only her debut made her look legitimate, but everything else, she was just garbage. Sorry.
Yes.
I think TNA was just holding her down. I mean,
That's what I thought.
yeah, you come from a lineage like the Von Erich family. You automatically have the talent, and her debut match, it really showcased that she did have the talent. I think TNA said, no, we want you to be a ditzy blonde, and we want you with the beautiful people with Angelina Love and Madison Rayne.
No, wait, whoa. Now you stop right there. Stop right there. Before we we're kind of still on the subject here, but you hold on. The beautiful people, both of them have excellent talent. They're not a couple of ditzy blondes.
Well, you know what? Let me correct myself. Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, Madison Rayne. But before they put in Madison Rayne, I believe they had Lacey Von Erich.
Yeah, but
Lacey Von Erich came before Madison Rayne, right? I think it was Lacey Von Erich. Then they kicked her out, and they got Madison Rayne in the Beautiful People, right?
Yeah, and Madison Rayne, I'm sorry, has a lot more talent than Lacey Von Erich. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Earl Hebner will vouch for that.
I'm sure he wasn't arguing either. But
What about
what about Winter?
Yeah.
Wow. I
she's
don't
all right.
know.
If you want to put her as one of your hotties in the list, Billy, actually, if we let's give you your list. Now's your stuff for your list.
Well, you guys been kind of hearing me randomly say it throughout here, like Maria Kanellis, Winter, Lacey Von Erich. I was surprised that not a single one of you has thought about saying Lita. What about Lita?
I was just trying not to be obvious.
Mm.
And you know, I want to say Sable during her first run, not when she came back and looked like a bony witch, but during her first run in the World Wrestling Federation when she was with Wild Man Mark Miro. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else. Maybe Elektra from ECW.
As in Carmen Electra?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, there was. She was a kind of. Well, you know how Chris Masters had that ability to make his pecs dance? She could do the same thing with her boobs.
Ah.
Look up Elektra in ECW. There was a female wrestler. Well, she's more like a valet, but for ECW. And I'm surprised that everybody kind of stayed away from Dawn Marie.
Nah, I'd stay away from Don Marino, which she's probably all the guys she slept with.
Yeah.
Don,
What about Tori Wilson?
Tori Wilson?
Two bagger.
Possibly. All right. Well, if everybody's all set, I'd like to give my list. Well, I will have to say, Billy, I will agree with you. Absolutely. Lita, yes. Sunny, years ago, I wouldn't have, back then in her heyday, not now, because I probably wouldn't touch her.
Back then, not now.
Yeah.
Wear a condom.
I'm not.
No, I wouldn't touch her with a bulletproof condom.
Sonny, back then, I don't think there's a wrestling fan that didn't have a wet dream over Sonny or Sable at some time in their life.
Yeah. So.
What about Marlena?
Ooh,
What?
yes.
No. She was too skanky looking.
Yeah, she just looked like a skanky hoe. Best thing they did
Yeah.
is she was a good wrestler, but when she used to do the splits and get in the ring, did you notice she always
Marlena, not Melina, Marlena.
Gold Dust
Marlena
ex-wife.
with Goldust.
Oh no,
Yeah, I know her. She's too skanky looking.
Goldust's
Yeah, but
ex-wife, the one with the cigar.
Yeah, and
No,
Andy was getting confused that with Melina.
That's proper skank.
Yeah.
That's trailer park, proper trailer park.
Yeah.
Low.
Terry Runnels, Trailer Park?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ask
Absolutely.
New Jack.
Oh, I thought he said that about. I thought he was saying that about Sonny.
Well, both of them are kind of nasty.
Yeah, her vagina's falling out. moving on. I'd have to
My
say,
virgin ears.
I have to say, Summer Rae absolutely is sexy as hell. So let me see. Taylor Hendricks, who just has been in TNA, she's very sexy. Velvet Sky, Taylor Wilde, formerly of TNA, she was kind of hot. Few others that I would like to see. Miss Tessmacher, that nobody really named. Now that woman is absolutely fine. If I had to put her at the top of my list, she would be the number one on my list. Let me see.
Secretly, Rick is thinking about Snooki.
No, I am not thinking about Snooki. That woman is just no. SoCal Val. She's not really a wrestler, but she's
Ginge.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Christy Hemme.
Christy Hemme, absolutely. And
Is it just me, but does Chrissy Hemme just look skanky these days?
No.
no, I wouldn't.
That's not necessarily a detriment when you're watching her on TV.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of people may say this, but I still have to say that Kelly's still pretty hot.
Yeah.
She can't wrestle, but the woman's hot. And Caitlyn. You gotta give it to Caitlyn. I'm sorry. If I had to pick Caitlyn or AJ, I would go with Caitlyn. She's just more woman. AJ, don't get me wrong, fine as a motherfucker, but Caitlyn is just more woman.
Who's the SmackDown ring announcer? She just came back.
Lillian.
Lillian Garcia.
Oh, Garcia?
Yeah.
All right.
Not too bad.
Can't walk down a ramp, but
Oh, a lot better than Brooke Hogan.
true.
She could sing the national anthem to her while you're whacking one off.
How many guys actually know that the person who actually sang the entrance theme to Tori Wilson's song was, in fact, Lillian Garcia?
Well, you know what? While we're talking about Caitlyn, Andy, I believe you got a little story about Caitlyn, about this secret, her being her secret admirer, and Biggie Langston.
Oh yeah. Well, many moons ago, when she was Celeste Bonin, a real name, is it Celeste or Celeste Bonin? when she was 15 in her bodybuilding days, she got gang raped by a group of coloured guys, and recently in an interview, she said, I want to make this quite clear, I'm not prejudiced in any way, shape or form, but I would never have a coloured boyfriend or partner. And then they write in the storyline, a coloured so-called admirer, and I just thought that was a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, she looked so uncomfortable with it too.
Yeah, I think they probably told her he was going to be somebody with AJ, but I don't think they told her it was going to be Biggie. And when he walked in, I said to Rick, I was looking at her face and I thought, she's devastated. She's not. She's made it quite clear she's not a prejudiced person, but it's basically scarred her for life. I mean, the poor girl was only 15. She got gang raped by a group of 15, by a group of coloured guys, and it's just scarred her for life. So to bring a storyline in, and you can't get much darker than Biggie, that really must have freaked the shit out of her. I don't think she knew who they were going to bring in. I really don't.
I thought she was having a hard time wondering how she was going to handle a guy who had tits as big as her.
Maybe a little bigger.
Oh,
Tits as big as AJ.
Lord.
Well, I mean,
it's the writers in the back sometimes just push the boundaries. It's like going back a couple of months ago, no, probably a year ago now, when we had everybody that was slating Jerry the King Lawler, even to the point where his son came out and was slating Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah.
It was just too far.
But they've done that a couple of times with King.
Yeah, they just... I don't know whether it's their way of paying people back for something that they've done wrong. I really don't know, but it's uncalled for, really, in my opinion.
I feel kind of bad for Biggie Langston. Can you imagine this story? Oh, poor Freddie. He went for a chest bump with Biggie Langston 2 years ago, and now he's just starting to eat solid foods.
well, and now, I mean, the thing is like you said, I mean, she must have known firsthand. They must have came to her and talked to her about the situation. I mean, obviously, I watched it, and she did look devastated. She walked down, and she was like, what the hell's going on? But also, when he walked up to her, she did put her arms around him.
Yeah, but did you see when she hugged him?
It.
Did you see when she hugged him, though? She was like...
Yeah, I agree with you.
She was, like, pushing away. It was not like...
So...
I don't know.
Why do you think...
She didn't look comfortable with it at all.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you that she was not liking it, she was not happy, and she was not selling it. So let me ask you, what's the point? What was the WWE's point? Why would they have him? Why not have, I mean, let's face it, Ziggler was...
Look at it like this, Rick. You're trying to set up your Divas Championship match. The main person who's your number one contender is AJ Lee. Yeah, but who's one of the... Now, you can't really figure Dolph Ziggler for doing it because Dolph Ziggler is too involved with AJ Lee as playing the role of her boyfriend. So the only other person they could have that would make any possible sense to get this started up would be Biggie Langston. Now, we can speculate that they really didn't tell her. I'm going to tell you this right now, guys, that I have a very, very hard time believing that WWE would send her out there in an unprepared segment. You got to know what you're doing out there. You got to know what to say. You got to know what your actions are in the segment, in the promo. And if you're going out there and you look and you don't know what you're doing, you can look like a downright ass. No matter what the situation is, no matter what it is, if it's Caitlyn reacting to Biggie Langston, or if Caitlyn would be reacting to Hornswoggle being the secret admirer. No, it's all part of the storyline, and I know for a fact that if you go out there and you're unprepared, you're just basically gonna shit all over the whole show. So I have a very difficult time believing that WWE would send her out there without her being prepared and revealing the identity to her before going out there.
Yeah, I can go with that. The only thing I can think of, she has obviously got very good acting ability then, because when you saw her face, she looked genuinely crippled.
Oh.
She looked really.
Yeah, but I don't think it would be because of the storyline of what happened to her in the past, but because of the association that Biggie Langston has with AJ Lee being her best friend. I think that's what they were going for, and that was the reaction she was giving. Now, I want to say about probably 99% of the fans who were watching that at that time would not have known about Caitlin's history, about what happened to her. About 99% of the people who are probably listening to this right now probably wouldn't have known about this until they heard it right here on Rick's show. But they were more reacting to, when they looked at Caitlin's face and they saw the reaction, it wasn't because of that. It was because of Biggie Langston's association with AJ Lee. That's the look they were going for, and that's what I believe that what they were trying to do, and they really did accomplish that.
And we'd like to welcome from the Big Easy, James. James, welcome to Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
I hate being called in last minute to work, and that's what I got today. Called in last minute.
All right. Well, James, let's keep.
And secretly, James is celebrating at Hardee's right now.
No.
Oh man! All right. Well,
actually, I'm actually in front of a Walgreens right now. So now I need to go get some laxative. Thanks.
All right. Well, James, I guess we can catch you up to date here. If Rick doesn't mind, tell us and everybody else at HWR Radio who was one of the best divas from each of the companies, from WCW, WWE, TNA, and ECW.
Repeat it.
Name some of the best wrestlers or divas in each of the companies of WWE, WWF, WCW, TNA, ECW.
Ooh, that's
catch you up to date.
Well, you know what? While James is thinking, Rick and Andy and Will, I got an interesting name for you. I just thought about it, and I don't know if you guys would classify her, but what about Baby Doll?
Who's that?
Yes.
China.
The valet from back in NWA when they had the first run with the Four Horsemen. Tully Blanchard had a female valet by the name of Baby Doll.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I'd classify her.
Yeah.
Who was that girl that used to come round in roller skates?
Oh, what was her name? That was with Deuce and Domino.
Yeah. What was her
that
name?
tag team?
That was Cherry.
Yeah, that was Cherry.
She was waffle length, for the want of a better term.
Well, Andy, let me ask you this question: with or without roller skates?
Both. You could push it off when you'd finished.
And
Oh,
we lost
God.
James.
Less friction.
Ah,
And of course, James is on location, so we are going to be losing him a little bit, but he will be back.
James just took on his new secret identity of being Road Pancake.
All right. All right. Wow.
Can anybody...
Excuse me.
I've just been looking on a couple of web pages, past and present wrestlers, and I've come across a guy who I've never even heard of, Ray Glacier Lloyd.
Ray Lloyd portrayed Glacier in WCW, a gimmick that I believe really could have worked. The only downfall that it had is it was right around the same release as Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And the character they more associated him with was Sub-Zero. Now, to me, if they would have worked the Glacier gimmick properly, it would have worked. It would have had a great run, because I feel that one of the most underrated wrestlers ever in WCW, personally, in my opinion, was Glacier, because it was a very good gimmick. Look at it like this. Glacier in WCW is kind of like Sin Cara in WWE. They both had.
No.
Hold on. Let me finish. Now with Glacier, yeah, his gimmick had more meaning to it. I mean, he was a martial artist. He had, he was undefeated for quite a long time, and then when they turned him heel, it was just a crap turn, and then that's when people started not giving a crap about what Glacier was doing. in WCW. Technically, right now with Sin Cara, does anybody really give a crap about what Sin Cara is doing? I would think not.
No.
Let's be first off. Nobody gave a shit about Sin Cara from when he first came in. I mean, he tried to bounce off the little jumpy joys, and it didn't work to begin with.
Jumpy joy.
And as far as what's his name, the little Glacier.
Glacier.
He was not that good. I'm sorry. I watched his career, and he was worse than Sin Cara.
I gotta disagree.
Really?
What
did he do? Name one thing he did in WCW?
Did you ever see his debut when he on WCW Pro when he took on the Gambler? I mean, he did a lot of
the
high
Gambler.
profile.
Exactly. Who was the Gambler? I rest my case.
WCW's version of the Brooklyn Brawler. How about that?
Exactly.
Had a real good feud with Mortis.
AKA the Mortis and Wrath and the guy who's was known as the Sinister Minister, James Caulfield. He would go on to be known as Father's James Mitchell in TNA.
Yeah, okay. Who significantly has he beaten?
Who significantly has he beaten?
Does he beat like Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan?
I don't think he's ever been in the ring with either one of those two because of the fact that...
How about Sting?
No, they wouldn't put him with Sting because they weren't booking him. He was basically mid-card.
I think it was like lower card.
No, I wouldn't say no, not lower card, because if you lower card, you would have put him on WCW Pro or something like that. But he beat Ray Traylor, who's known as the Big Boss Man. He beat...
And back then he was pretty much, and Ray Traylor or Big Boss Man was a jobber status. No. I got to disagree. No, he was not. How can you classify the Big Boss Man as a jobber in wrestling? Seriously. Wait. No, the Big Boss Man. I'm not talking about the Big Boss Man. I'm talking about Ray Traylor. Two different people, two different gimmicks. When he was in the WWF, he was a significantly successful career. Ray Traylor, I'm sorry, he failed.
No, I don't think it's the fact that he failed. I think WCW failed in the creative department.
Thank you. You said it, not me.
Yeah, but he beat him on his debut. I mean, really, I think what makes Glacier's gimmick more significant than Sin Cara is really, can you guys think of one significant feud that Sin Cara has had in the WWE?
No, and I can't think of one significant feud that Glacier's had.
Glacier, Mortis, Glacier, Wrath against, that was a good angle. That was a good storyline. It was significant. And then not only that, they brought in that's how they brought in Ernest the Cat Miller, and they made him part of the storyline at that time.
Yeah, and Ernest the Cat Miller did more than he did.
Now
he stepped over him. He was a stepping stone.
Yeah, but now that we're talking about Glacier's feuds, doesn't anybody remember the small feud he had against Saturn and Raven's Flock?
Oh yeah,
he had a thing with Saturn for a while. And then after 3 months of that, he got injured.
Yeah, Saturn was using his version of the cryonic kick. And that's what they were using to build that feud over, that Saturn was better at using the cryonic kick than Glacier was.
Yeah.
And then that's when he had his knee injury. And then he was supposed to have another feud when he got back from his injury with Raven.
Yeah, then Raven jumped back to ECW at the time.
Pretty much.
What's up again?
As we have James back in, welcome back, James.
So, what did I miss?
I guess we're gonna keep giving you some topics from the past since your phone keeps failing on us. And I was trying to tell you, name some good female wrestlers that looked pretty and had skills from WWF, WCW, TNA, and ECW.
One on the top of my hand is Gail Kim.
Woo!
Because the reason the reason for me is that she's a good wrestler, but it's like WWE was not doing giving her that respect and that push, So she went to TNA, and look what TNA is doing with her,
What did that homeless guy say?
I don't know. He's talking to himself right now.
Well,
But
here,
secretly, that guy wants Luna Vachon.
here at
He is
HWR
Mae
Radio,
Young's hand.
like I was trying to say, here at HWR Radio, you'll expect the unexpected.
Absolutely.
Um,
Only here on HWR.
James,
Alright.
protect yourself.
So,
I am.
any more wrestlers or divas that you think that had good wrestling skills that were pretty at the same time?
Trish. I guess that's another one right there.
Okay.
Trish Stratus.
James, if you say Rosie Lotta Love, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you.
Hey Billy, I'm just gonna say, in the words of a friend, do you want no or hell no?
How about hell maybe?
No.
Okay, so we pretty much got a TNA star and a WWE star. Can you think of anybody from TNA or ECW?
I already say TNA.
Or, I mean, okay, what about the so-called Divas division right now?
For me,
Say it.
do you want me to?
Say it. You've been saying it
Fine.
throughout the weeks now. You've been saying it.
AJ Lee.
Here
Okay.
at HWR Radio, we make sure that we'll get all the confessions for everybody.
Yes, in a way. But for
And
me, it's like in ECW. I would say there was like no like the women's division there really. The women there was like they were pretty, but they wasn't strong except for Jazz. I give Jazz her respect,
Yes.
Well, listen.
Forgot about Jack.
While you're right there next to the homeless guy, why don't you ask him his top 5 picks?
That would be before. Would that be before or after the homeless guy slits James' throat?
Well, you know what he could do? He could give him like a hamburger and then he, throw some money in his cup.
Or fried chicken?
Yeah. Hey, it works.
Hey, I have my burgers in my hand from McDonald's, okay?
So you give him a burger, say, hey, look, here's a burger. Listen, we're on a live show. We do what you call it. Do you watch wrestling? He says, no. Then say, what do you do? Then you write down some few names, right? AJ Lee and this and say, just, yeah. Write these down and just say them out loud and just hand out the phone. Just say, Oh, man, I was trying here, guys. Okay, well, hey.
And Rick is secretly confessing the conspiracy to commit murder.
No, I didn't say murder.
All right. Now,
I said
James.
conspiracy.
All right. Now, James, the next question is, who would be your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? If you had to pick the top 4 wrestlers of all time. Of all time.
Well, not just wrestlers, but personalities in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it could be any type. Wrestlers, commentary, divas, and, any standard category.
Been in the business.
That's been in the business.
Dang, I can't put Billy in. Dang it.
Oh.
I can't put Billy in. Damn it.
Wait, so GCW doesn't count? GCW doesn't count?
Not to them.
Oh.
Well, Rick, we got to work
Don't worry.
hard for our promotion.
Hey, Billy, you're always on my more. Anyway, for
I
me,
don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
I know. For me, it'd be Undertaker,
Okay.
Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, and good old JR.
Okay. Okay, now our last question is, can you give us any or a few failed gimmicks in wrestling history? Some failed gimmicks.
Why do we have the gobbledygooker? That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry, the correct answer is turkey sauce, but thanks for playing.
Yep, good enough. Well said.
I'm gonna tell you this. No, I was hearing doing stuff with Caitlyn. I didn't know myself really.
Yeah.
But for me, I think Caitlyn, WWE had to go if they knew about it or if they don't. They still have to go up to her and say, okay, we're gonna do this with Biggie Langston, and then it was all just gonna be a pry with AJ Lee.
James, the homeless guy is stealing your hamburgers.
No, he's just he's somehow on the ground. I don't know why.
Okay, but we mentioned gimmicks. I don't know why we went from Caitlyn's love story out of nowhere. We're talking about failed gimmicks.
I
all
already told you
time.
that. I already told you my failed gimmick, the gobbledygooker. That's it.
Wow. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys one more thing that really did not push well with others. Does anybody know the Goon?
Yeah,
I already mentioned it.
we did talk about the Goon.
But
And,
hey, what about this though? There was one gimmick. It only lasted for one night. It's back when the APA had that big barroom invitational brawl where they were inviting everyone in, and they had like Brian Kendrick there. They had Perry Saturn there. Brother Love was there too. But there was one gimmick that only lasted for one night only. It was just absolutely ridiculous. The Easter Bunny.
What?
wow.
If we're going to talk about Santa Claus,
Right. And he got ran over.
And you talking about Santa Claus the X, the one that they brought in Balls Mahoney before he went into ECW to try to pull off.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting. We're going to move on now that we got James up to date. We know that CM Punk is coming up. Is coming back, and we know that he's going to be getting some new music. Apparently that the Cult of Personality. We don't know if the music is whether he's getting music because the contract is out or whether he's just getting sick of it. What do you guys think about this?
I don't think that's really his call. I think it's more along the lines of head office and stuff like that.
Andy, what are your thoughts?
First I've heard about it. Don't know what to make of it, to be honest. Like Billy says, I don't think he would be able to call the shots on a return. It would be down to the powers that be, I would think.
Well, yeah, because it was Kevin from who does, I guess, a lot of the recordings.
Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Dunn, yeah. He was at the Rancid show where, of course, Punk was at, and he's, last night in Detroit, and he said that CM Punk came out on the stage and reports said, hey, we got a new music for the show for CM Punk, and he's going to be debut, and of course, when he does, he'll pay a payback. Now, a lot of people are saying, teasing that he could be, of course, coming, doing a face turn. Do you guys think that this could very much be happening, or? Will, your thoughts?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Doorbell.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were gone. My mistake, Will. We just talked about CM Punk, his new music, and the teaser of him possibly coming back as a face. And I want to get your thoughts on that.
CM Punk returning as a face with the new theme. Yeah, I read about this, and after the way that things has been transpiring lately with Paul Heyman, don't be surprised if he does come back. And the band was Rancid, I think that was the band.
That's correct.
Okay, so yeah, the band was Rancid, and I wouldn't be surprised if Punk come back as a face and starts beating the crap out of the fluke of Curtis Axel. Rick's favorite word is fluke, but yeah, I mean, every time CM Punk has a certain theme, it always changes his persona. We don't know if it's going to be a heel turn or a face turn, but I don't listen to Rancid, but if this is to help put Punk over and boost the match against Jericho, then all for it then.
Rick, is it true you fluked your dinner last night?
No, I did not Curtis Axel my dinner.
What about your breakfast?
No. But on a serious note, Andy, Billy, do you think this? Do you think he's going to come back as a face? Do you think this is going to start a feud with Curtis Axel? What are your thoughts?
If WWE turns him face, the Lord knows the merchandise they're going to throw out and sell with CM Punk's name on it will just be flying off the shelves. I mean, when CM Punk had his first initial run as a face, big time as a face, especially when he first became WWE champion, and back at I want to say Capital Punishment. That's the pay-per-view I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if that was it. It might have been Money in the Bank. I think it was. Yeah, it was Money in the Bank in Chicago.
It's Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank.
Yeah, Money in the Bank in Chicago, and and ever since that whole incident happened, especially with the pipe bomb, I mean his popularity skyrocketed, and then they turned him heel against The Rock because of The Rock and the millions of fans, and I still want to believe in that fucking gimmick. And you kind of tell I really don't like The Rock too much.
Don't?
No, not as a WWE superstar, not as an athlete, not as a movie star actor or anything. Even as a person, I think he's a rotten pile of shit. And the fans still buy into him, and I still have no idea why. Anyway, when they turned him heel against The Rock, he ran with it, and he did a great job. Now, if they turn him back face, I can guarantee you a lot of those fans who were loyal to CM Punk when he was a face, they're going to come back to him, and the crowds will really respond to him. I will say that. The crowds will really respond to him. Now, how well they can make it work with Curtis Axel, it all depends on, just the execution of it. I really don't know what else I can say about it.
All right. Lance, now we know that, of course, they're talking about CM Punk turning face. We know that, of course, Jericho right now is, of course, a face. So it's going to be a heel face match, obviously. I don't think if it does happen, it probably will happen at the end of the match. Do you think that we're going to see Jericho turn heel at the end of the match, or do you think it's just going to be something that it's going to be insignificant?
Insignificant, because Jericho got too much money invested in pissing fans off. Because he does have like a tour to go on, I think, or something. So I think it's going to be insignificant. They might do the actual turn for Punk Monday night.
Really? There's no need for Jericho to turn heel. I mean, there's no storyline that he's involved in.
The face turn for Punk.
No. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. You just can't say, we're flipping a switch. CM Punk is now face, Jericho is heel. It can't work that way.
Well, Andy, what do you think? Do you think that's a possibility? Do you think they're going to do that? Do you think,
I just think they should leave them as they are. I'm sick of hearing CM Punk's skin change from heel to face and Cena's skin go from face to heel. I think they've got the best personas they could have, and they should stay as they are. My personal opinion. I don't think they should change.
All right, James, over to you. Do you think they should make a change, or do you think we also talked about I believe Lance said something about Jericho going on tour? Do you think they're just gonna kick Jericho, find a reason for Jericho to take off and go on tour?
I really don't see Jericho as a heel, but I see CM Punk as a face. I think it's gonna be something with Curtis Axel that makes CM Punk be the face.
I have to agree with you there, because I think if they're gonna right now, CM Punk is a Heyman guy, and Curtis Axel, of course, is a Heyman guy. So usually what happens when Heyman is usually only supports one Heyman guy, and they're gonna have to kind of separate them. So last time when he was with Brock Lesnar, it was just kind of they just separated. Do I see, Curtis Axel getting involved in the match, or, saying, hey, I'm the number one guy? I hope not, but I mean, it's very well possible, and for them to push him to the next level and get involved in a match and get involved in a feud with him, why not?
Rick, I just realized something.
Mm-hmm.
James killed the homeless guy.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nothing. I want to be a witness. Sorry. Well, anyway, moving on. But yeah, I just don't want to see. I'm hoping that this match is Punk and Jericho are always going to be great. In the ring, it should be a great match, and that's just whether they turn heel or face. If he does turn face, we know that of course Axel's going to be a part of it. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Andy, of course, is always over at Stoke Haunted. Andy, where can they find you?
Yeah, www.stokehaunted.com.
And, of course, we know Billy is the YouTuber legend. He's over at WGS TV. Billy, where can they find you?
In the Federal Witness Protection Program. Also at youtube.com/WrestleGamer.
And of course, Lance, where can we find you at?
YouTube.com/LanceMossTV.
And what do you got going over there?
Wrestling reviews, album reviews, NASCAR reviews, and whatever else pops into my head.
And of course, we'd also like to welcome both James and Will, who's been a part of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, but they're also two Instagib video game gurus. Guys, what do you guys get going on over there?
Oh, I just got through wrapping up a little bit of a little game show festivities early, but my website is always at www.instagib.tv/Bay Area MVP for all the game shows and video games and everything that is to the gamer's mind.
Same thing with me. It's going to be instagib.tv/fatboy504. That's PHATBOI504. And later on this week, we're going to have the Payback Predictions show on the Vaughn Live side.
Yes, you catch us on the VaughnLive.tv side.
James's promo brought to you by a better connection for your fucking phone.
And rest in peace.
It's called I'm on a city bus, sir. Get it right.
Where we find
James
out
is secretly being fondled right now.
Wow.
I bet you daren't say if you're sitting on the city bus, I am a terrorist, get your hands in the air.
And we'll see him in about 30 years.
Or if you're sitting down on the bus and you look down and you're saying, what is that sticky stuff?
It's not candy, ladies and gentlemen.
No, you gotta say, what is that white sticky stuff?
And you look around and you got about a 500-pound couple standing right behind you.
And of course, I am the Shining Star, Rick Star, and if you ever want to find any of my pages, you can always find them at the Facebook page, Facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. This show will always be found at Spreaker.com/HWR Media. So the next time you will find us, I'm the Rick Star saying, see you when I see you.
Newsflash just in, if you want to see a brand new photo of Rick, because people keep asking what Rick looks like, the host of the show. If you want to see a fantastic photograph of Rick in all his glory, it's muckymags.com.
The show will be edited for broadcasting so Billy can have a nice corrective stomach before the show ends.
Stomach pump! Stomach pump!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on Facebook page at facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. HWR is also in association with WGS TV. Until next time, this is Rick Starr saying, see you when I see you.